The Pittsburgh Steelers got a pretty huge boost last night, announcing TJ Watt will play Saturday against the Indianapolis Colts. But that's not their only injury to worry about. Let's dive into what we know so far and who we expect to be on the field in Week 15 against the Colts. What's going on, everybody? I'm Noah Strackbine. Thank you for jumping on to Steelers To Go, your daily to-go cup of Pittsburgh Steelers news and analysis. Find us on youtube.com/allsteelerstalkers. Subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they get TJ Watt back, announcing late last night that he has cleared concussion protocol, was checked by an independent neurologist later in the evening in Pittsburgh. He was cleared. He will now be removed from concussion protocol, able to play on Saturday against the Indianapolis Colts. Huge news for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Obviously, they are fighting for a playoff spot. This team is still alive, whether your hopes are high or low on them. They sit as the 6th seed in the AFC. If the season ended today, they are in the postseason. A win over the Indianapolis Colts does a ton to keep them in the race and keep them in a positive place heading into these final 3 games, especially with 2 of those games being against AFC North opponents. I know the Steelers might be on a downward spiral right now. Things might not be looking great over the last 2 weeks, but to get some competition that you are familiar with, some AFC North competition, especially late in the year, that is always going to be competitive. That is always going to give you an opportunity to win, whether your team is on an upward or downward trajectory. That's just a different type of ball game and always will be a different type of ball game. That being said, to get TJ Watt back, the Steelers, remember, are 1-10 without their superstar edge rusher on the field because of injury. That is, insurmountable. You're not going to overcome losing TJ Watt. Now, granted, Nick Herbig and Marcus Golden just arrived this season. Before this, you were relying on guys like Jameer Jones, Malik Reed, Derek Tushka, not names that many remember, likely names many want to forget. That's different this year with Nick Herbig and Marcus Golden, but still, you want TJ Watt out there as much as possible. He is your number one guy that if he was to miss time, you're in some trouble if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. They get TJ Watt back. That is ginormous. I do expect him to play on Saturday. He was a full participant in practice yesterday, limited on day 1. He just looked juiced up. He looked ready to go. I'm going to talk to him today, and I'm sure he's going to tell me, I'm fine, we're playing. No big deal. Let's go through the rest of the injuries for the Pittsburgh Steelers because there are a few of them. The big names, obviously, are Najee Harris and Landon Roberts, who missed the first day of practice. Roberts did not practice on day 2. Najee Harris did practice because of a knee injury. Roberts says he's good to go. So does Najee. They both talked to the media yesterday. They both said, look, it will be fine for game time. This is just late in the season. We're dealing with some stuff. We have to be cautious. There's no need to put more damage on a body during the practice week if we don't have to in order for us to play on Sunday. The Steelers need Roberts out there. Obviously, Jaylen Warren can fill in at running back if need be, but they are as thin as possible at inside linebacker. To not have a Landon Roberts out there is a huge loss for them. I don't expect him to practice, or maybe just practice in a very limited role one day before the game. But for the most part, it's going to be from here until he's fully healthy. Just get him to the games on Sunday. Don't worry about practice. Don't worry about missing too much time. He's a veteran at this point. He understands the defense. He is their play caller. He's extremely intelligent on a football field. This is a guy that you don't need to send out there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to play on Sunday. So they're going to continue to monitor him, keep him as healthy as possible, go through treatment Monday through Saturday in order to play in game days. This week it'll be a Saturday game. I do expect him to play. Najee Harris, I also expect to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Another veteran who's been hurt is Isaac Seumalo, who's still dealing with the shoulder injury. Missed practice last week, continues to miss practice this week, has not practiced during the first 2 days. I don't think that affects his availability come game day. I think at this point he's a veteran as well. He gets a Veterans Day off typically throughout the week, so he only practices twice. If he could get a limited participation today, I think that he's clear and 100% ready to go. I still think that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to roll him out there on Saturday. I just look at this as a guy that is a veteran that the Steelers need out there that they'd rather keep healthy. A 30-year-old or a 29-year-old offensive lineman is not somebody that you need to practice 5 days a week. He's not Mason Cole. He's not Broderick Jones. He's not Dan Moore Jr. He's Isaac Seumalo. He's won Super Bowls. He's been in this league a long time. He knows how to play. He knows how to practice. He knows how to prepare himself without being on a football field. I think that this is, again, precautionary. This is an effort by the Pittsburgh Steelers for Isaac Seumalo to stay as healthy as possible during this final stretch. Because at this point in the year, you got to look at it. And Cam Hayward says it all the time. And he's another guy that continues to deal with a groin injury, but he'll be okay. At this point in the year, you're hurting. Your body is taking a beating. It feels like you've been injured every single day. It doesn't feel good, but it doesn't mean that you got to practice every day. It's about maintaining your health for the long run, and that's what the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to try to do. I doubt that Isaac Seumalo is listed as questionable or whatever. If I had to guess, he practices today as like some sort of walkthrough. It's very mild, and then he doesn't have an injury tag, and he's ready to go. That's just a guess, but if you had to go off of where he's been, what he's been doing, how the Pittsburgh Steelers treat veterans in this scenario, unless Isaac Seumalo is really, really hurt and unable to play, this is just to keep him as healthy as possible come game day. The other concerning injuries on defense, there's two of them. Alex Highsmith remains in concussion protocol. He's been limited the last 2 days. I could tell you, he's working hard. He is trying as hard as possible to get back out on the field by Saturday. I think it all depends on his symptoms. If he continues to have symptoms come tomorrow, he's not going to play on Saturday. If he's good to go today, if he's a full participant in practice today, I think that is a great sign that he will be able to play on Saturday. But concussions are tough. They're not up to the player. They're up to the brain. And at this point, you have to be cleared by an independent neurologist. You have to pass all of the protocol checklists, and that's not up to you. That's about your symptoms and how your body feels. And in the NFL, they're trying very hard not to rush these things. So it's up to the NFL. It's up to the independent neurologist. It's up to Alex Highsmith's body. It's not up to Alex Highsmith's mind and his heart and his effort. If it was up to him, he'd be out there. Unfortunately, this is an injury that you can't just push through. You got to wait it out. We'll see what happens today. He was limited the last 2 days. I don't know what to expect there. The other one is Keanu Beton, who's dealing with an oblique injury. He's been limited throughout the week. I think that is a concerning sign. If this is weeks past and he's dealing with an oblique injury, which he has, he's missed some practice time, but it's been a short week. So you look at it and you just say, nah, they probably could have got him a full day at least once. You could roll him into the game. At this point, to stay limited throughout the week, you're going to need a full participation of practice today in order to at least avoid an injury tag. If he's limited again, I would say that the Steelers list him as questionable, which is a little concerning about his playing time on Saturday. He's going to try to be out there. Just judging off of body language and how I've seen him just operate throughout the facility over the last couple of days, he doesn't look like a guy who is very concerned about missing a game. He looks like a guy who feels like he's going to be out there, and just the way he's interacting, the way he's practicing, the way the whole nine just kind of feels like he's confident in himself that he'll be able to play on Saturday. Again, that's a wait and see thing. Then there's the big surprise. Deontay Johnson pops up with a knee injury. Don't know why, don't know where it came from. Missed practice, was nowhere to be seen. Nobody could find him during the practice day. From what I've been told, I was not there. I mean, that's concerning. You look at Deontay Johnson, you look at this offense, they need as many weapons as possible to deal with another injury at this point in the year. Very, very alarming. That being said, the wide receivers have done this before. George Pickens has had an injury pop up during the week that you've had to monitor. Deontay Johnson has had an injury throughout the week that you've had to monitor. Najee Harris, Jaylen Warren, everybody's had an injury that's popped up out of nowhere that you've had to suddenly concern yourself with, and then they're good to go by game day. I would kind of imagine Deontay Johnson is in that same boat. The fact that he popped up on the injury report during the week is always concerning. That means that chances are, if it was there, it got worse during practice, or if it wasn't there, it happened during practice, neither of which is a good sign for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You'd rather it happen earlier in the week and say, hey, look, this is just residual from the game on Sunday. Instead, this is something that occurred during the week. We'll see what happens. For right now, I'm not going to put too much weight on it. I'm going to look at it and say Deontay is probably a guy that is just resting. It happens. Hopefully he's okay. The Pittsburgh Steelers desperately need as many weapons on offense as they could possibly have over these next couple of weeks. That is certainly a name to monitor. I think the biggest name to monitor over the next 2 days is Deontay Johnson and obviously Alex Highsmith as we approach game day. But I expect a good positive injury report to come from the Pittsburgh Steelers later this afternoon. I just look at it as a bunch of guys who are dealing with late season injuries, who are as beat up as possible. But that's what happens in the NFL at this time of the year. It's December football. You push through it. Landon Roberts said it best. It's December. We move fast. So do the injuries. That's where the Pittsburgh Steelers are. We'll have more updates tomorrow, but for right now, don't put too much weight. Don't put too much worry. Don't put too much stress on the Pittsburgh Steelers injuries outside of maybe monitoring one or two of them.